So what does Hillsborough County Emergency Management do? And it's a pretty safe bet that the Emergency Management Department or agency in your jurisdiction, be it Pinellas or elsewhere, does a lot of these same things. Planning. Every county in Florida is required to have a comprehensive emergency management plan. That's CEMP that you see on the slide. But the comprehensive emergency management plan is the county's kind of guiding light when it comes to disasters. And it's put together by emergency management. It is then formally adopted by the Board of County Commissioners, and then it goes up to the state for review and approval. They're reviewed and renewed on a 4-year cycle. We also do the county's continuity of operations plan, or COOP plan. In the event of a disaster, the government can't just close the doors, lock up, and evacuate. As you all know, there are critical government services that still have to be delivered. There are governmental decisions that still have to be made. Do we evacuate? Do we rescind evacuation orders? Do we implement a curfew? Do we close the schools? Do we close government buildings? The list goes on and on. Jurisdictions have to have a plan in place to continue the business of government. You can't just close down and go home because we have citizens out there who are relying on us. Some preparedness activities that we do are presentations like this. On a daily basis, our staff is out pounding the pavement, talking to neighborhood groups, CERT teams, volunteer associations, hospitals, nursing homes, schools, you name it. We do not turn down a request for presentations. I know I probably shouldn't say that in this audience, but we do a lot of these. And it benefits us in the long run because the more educated and prepared you are, hopefully the less work we have to do on the back end. We also do plan reviews for hospitals, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, and there's a few others on that list, but they also are required to have a comprehensive emergency management plan. Things like, where are you going to evacuate your residents to? How are you going to shelter in place? What are you going to do about medication for your patients and your residents? So we review those plans, and we work closely with the hospitals and the ALFs and the nursing homes and other facilities to make sure that they're as prepared as they can be based on standards that are set by the state. Of course, in a response, we would get into that EOC activation, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then during recovery, we're doing things like coordinating all those different assets from federal, state, other counties, other jurisdictions that are coming in to assist with the recovery operation, utility providers that come in from all over the country to restore power. The list really does go on and on. But the central coordinating point for that is your County Emergency Management Agency, your County Emergency Operations Center. We do business continuity. If Publix and Winn-Dixie and Walmart can't open back up after a hurricane or another disaster, that's a very serious problem. So we work closely with our business community, both large businesses and small businesses, to make sure that they have a plan, that they have a system in place to keep their documents, their records, their inventory, their electricity, you name it, that all that stuff has to be restored quickly in order for the community to be able to recover from a disaster. We have a full-time business continuity program manager on our staff, and that is a key function of recovery. Media and public information. We are routinely handling media requests, giving media interviews, and you'll see those perk up a little bit here in the short term with the swine flu issue, as well as with hurricane season right around the corner. We typically, there's an uptick in media interest every time hurricane season rolls around. So that's another full-time job, is dealing with the media, not only dealing with them, but building relationships with the media, giving them what they need so that when we need to use them to alert the public, we already know who to call, and we already have a good working relationship with them in order to make that go smoothly and quickly. Workforce planning. If we had a massive evacuation here in the Tampa Bay area, Pinellas and Hillsborough alone have over 2 million residents and probably 10 or 15,000 government employees. If they all evacuate, how is the county going to open back up for business? So we have plans in place we kind of stratify our workforce. We have a group A, B, C, and D of who's going to evacuate, when will they be allowed to evacuate, when will they be required to come back to work, where will they go back to work, what if that building is closed, what is their alternate work site. So we have plans in place to make sure that our workforce, our county workers come back to work and know where to go following a disaster to get the government back up and running. Just like those businesses that have to start back up, so does the government. Training and exercise, that's another one that falls under my umbrella. We work with our hospitals, we work with our school board, we work with other county, federal, state, and local agencies to do training and exercises year-round. We also work closely with our special needs and our disabled population. Our county has a full-time ADA liaison, and we maintain our special needs shelters, and we work with the health department on our special needs database to make sure we know where those people are who need special assistance with transportation, medical care, etc., and can do everything that needs to be done to take care of those folks following a disaster. Sheltering, we're also responsible for coordinating all of our shelters, which fall within our school system. We use our schools as emergency shelters. I'll put a quick plug in there and say if you love your family, don't take them to a shelter. Shelters are meant to be a last resort if you have nowhere else to go. Shelters really are a lifeboat, not a cruise ship, so please keep that in mind. They're certainly there if you need them, but if you can go elsewhere safely, we encourage the public to do so. Transportation is another one. We work with our transportation providers, the school board, Heartline, our city buses, to make sure that we have transportation or evacuation bus routes for segments of the population who may not have the capability to evacuate. And logistics, you may have heard of pods. That plan is also run by emergency management. In the event those Home Depots, Publixes, Walmarts can't open back up, we have a plan in place to open up points of distribution for food, water, ice, and other commodities, distribute those to the public until such time that we can get those places open back up. We maintain a database of all the hazardous materials within the county. We have a full-time staff member who's responsible for maintaining the list of extremely hazardous substances within the county and maintaining a database of those for our first responders. If they're responding to a facility, it's nice to know that there's a 10,000-pound chlorine tank out back or whatever the case may be. We work closely with the Port of Tampa, the Tampa Port Authority, and the Coast Guard. Tampa is, I believe, one of the top 3 ports in the state of Florida and one of the top 10 in the country when it comes to gross tonnage of shipments of different types of commodities, particularly petroleum, gasoline, and fuel oil. If the Port of Tampa closes, we have a very limited supply of gasoline in the state of Florida. So we work very closely with the Coast Guard and the Port Authority to ensure that there is some logical management of the port. The port is critical, and it's something that sometimes people don't think about.